Sustainability Manager of Bekaert Deslee, and I'm here to talk about our sustainability journey as a company and the challenge we are in front of as a sector of adding. Okay, there's a small echo on the line, but I hope it will be solved. Can you go to the next slide, please? So Bekaert Deslee, I hope it's quite well known in this audience, but Bekaert Deslee, we are the global leader in mattress sticking. So we operate in every continent. We have around 4,000 employees and a turnover around 400 million euros. So for us, sustainability, it is a very important challenge, as it's a way to of course, protect our market and as a future assurance for our growth. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so just here to illustrate our value chain, we start with yarns, some specialty yarns we make ourselves, but predominantly we buy them, and either our material, it comes from polymer or from natural fibers. Then we transform it via weaving or knitting to fabrics or directly to covers, so it can be processed in the final mattress assembly. Next slide. In general, this is our strategy for the future. So we have the ambition to double our revenue by 2025. It's a very, very big challenge, very big ambition. And we have a dedicated strategy to achieve this. Now, sustainability is an essential part of this. So as we all know, we are a bit constrained by the resources on our planet or provided by our planet. So we have to do more to double revenue with less materials. Today, our footprint is already too high. So we need to reduce it to protect the status quo and then reduce it even further to achieve that growth we are aiming for. Next slide. In detail, we can tell some things about our strategy. So sustainability is very important because of 5 drivers. So I talked about the resource shortages or our ambition to grow. And of course, policy is one of the important ones. If you look at the European Union, they are taking very concrete and very tangible actions for the future, which was a bit shown at the launch of the European Sustainable Textile Strategy that was launched this year. So the EU Sustainable Textile Strategy, it's an overall package and a package of legislations that needs to be reached by 2030 to achieve that sustainability, circularity, and also fight climate action. One of the taglines they launch is that they want to make fast fashion out of fashion. Also, other regions, we see that they are accelerating at a fast pace. I always get the feedback that Europe is ahead and Europe is moving forward. But other regions, they are either following close by, or perhaps they are already accelerating to an extent that they will overcome the European ambition. This is shown, for example, in the other markets where we are active in, USA, Australia, and also China. So for us, as a global strategy, it's not only a European strategy, we need to focus on this as we are a global player. China, for example, the emission trading scheme they have launched, it's the biggest one worldwide. So they have put a price on carbon emissions, and it's now the biggest economy affected by that price worldwide. It's bigger than Europe, and it's also bigger than other mechanisms we can see in the world. So that was the policy driver. Market-wise, we see there's also a significant shift in the customer awareness. And sometimes this awareness and this engagement translates into higher willingness to pay. A certain portion of the market wants to pay more for sustainability or sustainable products, and this portion is increasing. So it's becoming more attractive. Furthermore, there are already costs related to sustainability. First of all, there's the carbon cost, but also the EPR. EPR is a European mechanism. It's called Extended Producer Responsibility. And the philosophy is that if you buy a new product, you buy a mattress, you have to pay for the end-of-life treatment costs. So some time for mattress will be born, it will be end of life, and at that point there will be a cost to treat it, either via landfill, incineration, or recycling. In the past, you had to pay that cost when you brought your mattress to an institution at the end of life. Today, you have to pay that cost when you buy the product. Technology-wise, we also see significant evolution in the field of sustainability. A lot of innovations make recycling more possible. 5 years ago, this was not the case. Today, we have a view on recycling technologies that are available in the market right now, or they will be in the near future. Capacity of those recycling factories is increasing. So every day, this is becoming a more viable option. The environmental driver can be summarized via the environmental and climate crisis we find ourselves in. This is, of course, another challenge, another crisis than the COVID pandemic or financial crises. This is a crisis that you don't feel on an acute level, but it's more on a long-term effect. And of course, the effects of that crisis will be felt for a very long period if they come into effect. That's a bit the crisis aspect. Of course, there's benefits to a circular economy. More and more data shows that an environmentally way of producing, it provides more jobs, it protects natural resources, it's also the economy. One of the examples we focus on and we stimulate quite a lot, recycled polyester has a much lower carbon footprint than virgin polyester. This is one of the clear evidences that we see that recycling actually pays off. And then the last driver I want to discuss is the investing perspective. I think this is one that is not always mentioned, but more and more banks or financing institutions are devoting attention to sustainability. As a company, of course, you need finance from the bank, from another institution, or from a private investor. And if they think sustainability is important, it can be a way of attracting more finance for your company to drive investments in your growth. In the best case, this can result in a lower bank loan if you can show you're actively working on sustainability, seen as a more robust investment. In a worst case, some banks actually don't invest anymore in unsustainable business. So on the long term, there's a risk you will not have financing anymore as a company. Next slide, please. So yeah, that's why we as a company, we have launched Beyond. Beyond is a bit our tagline. So we have a strategy, we have a long story, but in the end, we summarized with this tagline. It actually literally means what we want to achieve. We want to still improve sleep quality. Yeah, we still want to innovate. We still want to be the leader in the market. And on top of that, we have to focus on sustainability. We really need to protect what we already achieved, better for the environment, better for the social story, and still progress on all the other aspects. It really means we have to go the extra mile, and that's what we intend to do. Can you go to the next slide? Here I put in a summary of that European Sustainable Textile Strategy. We as a company have to adapt to this. Europe is one of our bigger markets, and this is an example, or this is one of the best practices. And I think a lot of markets will also adopt this to an increasing extent. What you see is that Europe, they want to focus on eco-design, meaning they want to develop guidelines for every product to determine or to increase the recycling or the circularity performance. Today, we see a lot of products are not recyclable and they end up in landfill or incineration because it's technical or financially not possible. Furthermore, they also want to implement a digital product passport, which gives the information on a product, so it can be through the value chain from end consumer and also the end of life process. The idea is that this product passport contains all information at the relevant stage, specifically for a recycling company, that he knows what's in this product and how he can recycle it. Next slide, please. So our translation to all these parameters can be seen here. So we have a dedicated sustainability strategy, which of course, sustainability is a very broad topic. It's not only the environmental things, we also focus on employee safety, health and well-being, diversity and inclusion, ethics and compliance, and so on. It does not only entail we want to take care of the environment, we also want to be a good company to work for and a good company to work with. In the center, you can see our core topics. We summarize everything we do under these three pillars. It means climate action, sustainable products, and circular economy. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so our first one is sustainable products. This means we have set a roadmap to evaluate all our products towards sustainability rating criteria. We use 5 criteria, among others, biodiversity and circularity performance, and we give it a score from 1 to 6. That is consolidated, and today we use as a benchmark level that something has to score 3 out of 6 to be considered sustainable. This is now our performance level. We want to increase the amount of products that score above 3, and on the long term, we want to take it to a scoring of 4 and a scoring of 5. Next slide, please. This is an example of that rating. So here you can see one of our covers with the composition and the scoring on the individual criteria. Overall, it reaches 3.95, so close to 4. So we consider it sustainable. The word you see in German, enkelfähig, this is from a word from our shareholder or investor. In fact, it's a lot of stress on sustainability, and it means fit for our grandchildren. It's a tagline they use, and we also adopted it, and I think it covers nice the load that we indeed want to create value for generations. So the idea of this rating is also that this product, it will still be relevant in 1 generation or 2 generations. Next slide, please. So in our collection, you can see that we have devoted much more attention to sustainable products. We actively provide a lot of solutions that we think, okay, this is the way to go. So our customer can have numerous options to choose these products. One of our focus for this year is the recycled polyesters. In the past, this polyester was much more expensive. Today, this is becoming at a more acceptable price and also with more colors. So there's more to choose, and it results in a better uptake of these products. Next slide. Okay, our second pillar is climate action. So we as a company, we have determined our climate footprint over all categories. It does not only mean the emissions we do in-house from natural gas or from electricity we use. It also takes into account all emissions in our broader value chain. For us, one of the clear conclusions we have is that biggest contributors are in our yarns. The materials we buy, the materials we need to make our products, they come from various sources, and those sources, they emit quite some carbon. So this is for us the biggest challenge, that we work with these sources and reduce impacts there in comparison to only focus on our own operations. Next slide, please. So circular economy is our third topic, and it actually links quite well into climate action. If we work with more recycled materials, we work via a more circular business model, we will reduce our climate footprint. Furthermore, there are other benefits to circular economy. As said, there's a resource shortage coming up, and it is a strategy to decouple our business model or our growth resource dependency. If you look closely at this circle, you can also see this circle, it needs to be healthy. We want to recycle and so on, but everything we keep in that cycle, it has to be environmentally friendly and also has to stay healthy, because if you recycle and a chemical that is not allowed anymore pops up, it's very difficult to remove. So for us, it's also important that we only introduce healthy materials in the circle, so we really keep it healthy. Next slide. I already talked about the digital product passport. So this was actually launched by Europe in March 2022. We as a company, we have been working on this for already quite some years, and we launched it before the European initiative. For us, it was a nice confirmation that indeed our strategy and our initiatives are heading in the right direction. But anyhow, I want to stress again that if you want to be circular, digital product passport or enabling technologies are really needed. Throughout the value chain, there has to be a responsibility. There has to be information flowing from one player to another. There has to be cooperation, partnerships to make sure that everything that is circulating stays healthy and that everybody knows what to do. Or transparent circularity is a way to leverage this. So yes. Next slide, please. Lastly, I want to talk about our sustainability report. So on an annual basis, we publish a report. This is also following European legislation. It is an obligation for us to report on an annual basis with regard to non-financial parameters. In next years, this will become part of our mainstream financial reporting, and it provides transparency towards our customers, to our suppliers, to every stakeholder we have, that indeed we are focusing on sustainability and we want to transparently communicate about this. This is, for me, one of the shields against greenwashing. This report, it follows a universal standard. It will be audited, and it's data-driven. Okay, next slide. So overall, we have a governance structure also in place in our company, where we really have several groups that make sure the needle keeps moving. I'm the sustainability manager. Of course, I take a lead in a lot of topics, but in the end, it comes down to involving all of 4,000 employees to make things getting done. So next slide. I think this is the end of my presentation, and I think we still have some time for questions and answers.
Can you hear me? Hello? He can. Okay, very good. My question is the passport, the ID. So can you itemize summarily what information will be on the ID, like source of the mattress, you know, the material sources, information about factory. Like, can you summarily itemize the information will be on the passport?
More or less, can you repeat it summarized?
Okay, the question is, you mentioned
about... Sorry, Goodson, can you repeat it? Because it's more clear if you speak.
Okay, my question is about the matrix passport ID. So what kind of information will be on the passport? Like factory, the source of the materials, etc. Like, could you be able to itemize summarily?
Yeah. So, in theory, really a lot of information can be attached to the passport. The material used, meaning the yarn, the finish we apply, where the material is coming from, which steps our product has taken in the logistical chain. A lot of information can really be attached. The challenge, of course, is that we cannot disclose all this information to every player in the value chain. That's why it also has to have a role-based access, which we have. So only every player in the value chain only sees the information he needs to see. For a customer, for example, it's relevant to see washing instructions. For an end-of-life recycler, he needs to see, okay, is this material polyester? Is it cotton? Which finish is applied? So he knows how to recycle it. It's not our intention to disclose every supplier and every material that is in, because of course this is also disclosing too much of our company and our expertise.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day all.